What's up, beautiful people? This is Rex from Conscious Mantras, and today we have such an amazing guest. I was in her podcast last week, I believe. Her name is Lala Beamz. She goes with the name of Lala at the rate Lala Beamz on Instagram. She have her own podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and other streaming platforms too, with the name of Lala Beamz. And she is a really amazing host, a really good researcher. She has been into this red pilling stuff and researching and truthers community stuff are from around like more than 12 years, if I'm correct. Okay, so without wasting too much time, over to you, Lala. Just a brief introduction about you.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. Like you said, you were just on my show, Lala Beamz, like a beam of light with a Z. And it was awesome. We talked about Vortex math and all kinds of stuff, got the real scoop on India. And now the shoe's on the other foot. And I'm here to be in the guest seat, which I'm not really used to. So, but I'm happy to be here. And yeah, so.
Well, yeah, like, isn't it amazing?
Other than my podcast, I just have...
You have what? All right.
Other than my podcast, I just have my account where I basically am just a shit poster. So
yeah, that's me too. That's me too. That's what I do. That's what I do. Yeah. So before moving ahead, like, isn't it amazing to have like so many like-minded people doing interviews, doing podcasts, and doing like this thing which we are doing right now, and like meeting new like-minded people and understanding different perspective of the same topic. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it amazing? Like, I feel amazing about this thing,
I think it's just crazy, insane to think about, that you being in India and then me here is just proof that the Great Awakening is happening. It has nothing to do with politics. Yeah. It is a spiritual war that we're all fighting towards. And I've just met so many amazing people doing this. So I love it.
Oh yeah. So, like, I'm just waiting for the time when we all, like from different countries will be under one governance, or like a people governance, or we can say the one God governance, like, so I'm just waiting, because earlier it was like that. We were under the dictatorship, if we can say that, a bad or good, I'm not going to comment on that, but we were having same language, same race, same types of clothes we wear, like same understanding of anything like God or something like that, right? So then the religion came in and we were like drifted apart, like Christians, Hindus, Muslims, and so many different ones, right? So yeah, anyways, let's not get there. That's one of the biggest, deepest rabbit hole we can talk about, but we can talk about it later. Yeah. So before we enter into the interview or this show, I just want to know, how did you started your red pilling journey, and like, what was your major breakthrough, and when you decided that now I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna go fight on like social media, I'm gonna be the keyboard warrior, like Q said us, the Trump said us, that we are the keyboard warriors, we are the light workers. So when did you decided to be a light worker or a truther? You should go out and do that.
Well, just to touch on what you said first about like the one world government, I think about this a lot, because there's the New World Order that we talk about as like the nefarious idea of that. But then, like you said, that there was a one world where everyone was more understanding of each other. And, like the story of the Tower of Babel with all of our languages and dividing us in that way. So when I think about like what happens at the end of this spiritual war for me, which could last a really long time still, I'm thinking of us going back to like natural law instead of all of these politicians and people essentially telling us how to live our lives. So I don't know how far in the future that is, but that to me would be like the ultimate goal. But to answer your question about my red pill, it's been a long journey, and it's been, my friend has been comparing it to a spiral. the way that people's awakenings are, and how you keep going back to like same information and looking into it more and finding new stuff in it. So when he said that to me, I was like, that kind of makes a lot of sense actually, because my first red pill was actually religion. And I've told this story before where my dad, he's not really involved in my life, but he was constantly telling me I was going to go to hell, and just for not going to church and not honoring my father, who was not in my life. But so I was just like, that makes no sense. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So I started looking into it, and I just started reading about the different perceptions of what the Bible could be. And I basically came to the conclusion that no one needs to tell me how to perceive this ancient book that has been rewritten thousands of times. And even though I feel like organized religion is probably one of the last stones unturned for a lot of people, it was the first for me. And I think that there's like a lot of different layers to the Bible, which we can get into later. But the end of the day, someone said something to me recently where they said, no matter what rabbit hole you dig into, the end result is God. And meaning that however I was like, wow, that's so true. Every single rabbit hole always leads to God and something more divine. And so I remember when I first started hearing about the Bohemian Grove and the New World Order and the FEMA camps and all of like this terrifying shit, where I was just like, fuck that. I'm burying that back. I'm closing that door. I don't want to learn about that, because there was no hope back then.
It was
and
depressing.
Yeah, like that's the black pill. So that's what I'm referring to when I say that, like, a lot of people who have been involved in this research and down this path for a long time, you go through phases of black pill and hopelessness sometimes, and then you kind of have to rise above it, which is kind of where we are now as the light workers, as the truth seekers, as the ones who are actually speaking out against the corruption and trying to wake people up to it. So I had a long period of ignoring society in that way. I'm very apolitical. I don't really care either way who's in office. I don't. I went through, a phase in my 20s where I was drinking a lot and partying and doing, whatever you're doing in your 20s in college. And it was a learning part of my life in that way. And now what really had me kind of speaking out and starting the podcast, and like the reason that why we're friends now is because when coronavirus happened, and at first I was being cautious. I have a daughter, I wasn't sure what the exact, danger was there. And then the BLM riots came, and then it was just like, okay, this is a little obvious what's happening now with the election coming. And then the election, so blatantly fraudulent. And that's when I really that's when I made my account, because I was speaking out on my personal account, and I was getting like blocked. I was getting like losing friends left and right, which is fine. I speak out against this all the time in my personal life, but I was like, this is just a lot of stress for me. I just want to like get the information that I need and connect with people who are kind of on the same journey. And that's basically how Lala Beamz was born. And
that's so amazing. Like I think that's the same situation with all of us, that we started red pilling on our personal accounts like WhatsApps, Facebooks, Instagrams, our personal Instagrams and everything. And then people were like started blocking us, started screaming at us, like, why are you doing this and that, blah blah. Like the last night I screenshot the COVID vaccine ingredients, the Indian COVID vaccine ingredients, and the ingredients which are using like aluminium and some other chemical stuff, like I don't remember the technical names.
Like that SM-102 or whatever it
Yes,
is.
yes,
Like,
yes, yeah. So like it gives you, it destroys the immune system, it freezes the cells and create the brain cells dead or something like that. So I posted those ingredients, and the next story I posted about those ingredients side effects, and people were like, it was only like only 30 people viewed that story, but I got like 15 messages that they have like vaccinated. Don't scare them, don't scare me, bro, what you're doing. So I have to pull it out, like I have to pull out the story, because those people weren't ready to understand those things. And like I made a, like what you say, a chaos inside their mind, that now they are vaccinated, and I didn't wanted to demotivate them, but yeah, they did wrong. So
right.
yeah, right. So like it's like for all of us that we have experienced the same kind of a situation and everything. And plus, like I've taken a note that you talked about the creator, that a father or like a mother womb matrix, right? So in India we also say that, okay, so we have so much love for gold. People think we just wear the gold. No, because okay, so I'm going to tell you the spiritual way, like spiritual understanding why we love gold. That we say that there was a golden womb. There was a golden womb from which the human came, the mother earth golden womb from which the human came, and that was golden in color. Not sure it was gold or not, but it was divine golden in color. And that's why we love gold. That's why we have so many auspicious things related to gold. So yeah, that's what I wanted to
That makes
share about.
sense.
Yeah, like that,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's what I want to talk about next. That I think you talked about really good web or we can say the metrics in your
Mm-hmm.
solo episode about the ancient temples and the divine math, right? So divine
Right.
mathematics, and as if I understand, and the Vedic math understands, everything around us is geometry, right? So
Absolutely.
let's start with the the divine mathematics, the geometry, the divine
Sure.
geometry, and then we go into the ancient temples, because they both connect, right? I don't know if you agree with that.
That was my kind of, tying it up when I heard the prophetic message.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with my knowledge of what the sacred geometry and all of that is, it is kind of where my mind went immediately. And the thing about, our God being a creator and all of that, and we are also creators. We're made in his, like we are all gods. We all have God within us. And the Bible says that explicitly. And the Bible also says that when they talk about the matrix, they talk about the womb. Like matrix literally means womb. And I know in our movement, people talk about the matrix of like breaking out of the matrix and, this, and that's fine, because there's multiple meanings to it, obviously. And people are waking up to this matrix that they're living us in. But I think that's one of those words that the elite have taken and convoluted with a different meaning to give like a negative connotation to it. Because when I think about like our mother womb, Mother Earth matrix, I think about our collective consciousness that we're all in a grid attached to. And we are kind of disconnected from that in a way. But that's the way that I think of the word matrix now. With the divine mathematics, it kind of starts with the sacred geometry. It starts with the flower of life, which can make up our entire universe. It's like the building blocks of our universe, all of the elements, earth, water, air, and fire, and then ether, which is our spirit. can quite literally be drawn into this shape. So the actual atomic blocks can be created from the flower of life. So you really have to. I created a video on this on my YouTube channel if you want to look at the symbols. But so knowing that everything can be made with geometry, and knowing that in nature we can see this Fibonacci sequence, which creates the spirals, which you can see like in the center of a sunflower, you can see in a pine cone, you can see on our faces this golden ratio, which to me in itself proves that there is a divine creator. Yeah. So, and then what we talked about on our episode was the Vortex math. Yeah. So the Vortex math also has interesting sequences if you continue to add on to them. And it's Tesla's math, essentially. If you look at it like a clock, the 12 would be where the 9 is, and 369 represent the like non-physical world. So vibrations, frequencies, and all of that. And then the rest of the numbers create the physical world. And they all of these concepts, which are standalone, when I was thinking about them all, because this is another one of my first rabbit holes actually was sacred geometry. So I've known about this for a while, and tying it all in after I heard the ancient template prophecy was really eye-opening for me to see sacred geometry and sacred math essentially playing out in the physical sense, in the physical realm. So that's basically what I was
yeah, that's so amazing because, that's the, we have so many different rabbit holes to dig down, but this one is so deep, yet a beautiful journey, what we say that the journey is beautiful than the goal. Right. So that's what it is. Yeah. The goal is also beautiful, but the journey is so amazing, so mystical that we can understand. So as you said earlier, that whatever the rabbit hole you goes in, you dig down, the end result is God. Mm-hmm. And this rabbit hole, this divine mathematics and everything literally proves that there is a creator, there is a father of all, there is God. And because the things don't add up if we don't have a creator, if we don't add a creator into the list, or like God into the list, the results would not add up. And that's what I think, because everything, I think we talked about the Big Bang Theory in our last episode when we did it, right? If I remember it correctly. Uh-huh. Yeah. So like we were talking about that Big Bang Theory. It was an explosion. Even if it's first of all, I don't believe in Big Bang Theory, but if it's an explosion, an explosion can create such a beautiful mathematics, such a beautiful geometry, everything, like asymmetrical, or everything has a meaning, and that meaning has a different meaning, right? So it cannot happen without a creator, without an supervisor or observer, because like if there's an explosion, we will be shattered, or like we'll be split around like
it wouldn't be beings. In perfect order in the way that it has manifested in math.
Exactly, we wouldn't be aligned. So that comes to my second point, that I don't know what Americans think about the temples, and nowadays what they are doing with temples, the modern temples and everything, I don't know. But the temples used to hold so many, like who the creators of the temple used to hold so many different knowledge, like geometry, geographical, like geographical knowledge too, because if just a little bit fun fact, that there are 5 temples of Lord Shiva in India, which are like aligned like a vertical line, in a vertical line, same longitude, same latitude, and they are in different positions of the country, like like from the up east to down to the south, and it's in a same longitude, 72 degree something like that. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, something like that. So that's how our ancient ancestors were modern, like technologically advanced. So in my heart, because I am Hindu and I'm from India, temples hold different position in my like heart, right? They are the
Right.
divine place and everything. But I want to talk about, like, what do you think about the temples? Can we connect temples and their alignments to the divine mathematics or the ancient geometry or something, or is it the total different thing?
Um, well, I'm speaking ignorantly because I haven't
Okay.
looked at, but and in saying that, um, you said I'm a really good researcher, but like, and I do research stuff when I'm like deep diving for my shows, but a lot of my knowledge and what I believe to be true isn't based on a shit ton of research. It's
Oh yeah,
mostly based on like my intuition.
exactly.
So in just to answer your question on like what I feel, um, just the way you have told me about Hinduism in general being like a way of life,
Yeah.
combined with the fact that it's one of the most ancient, even though it's not technically a religions and the ancient language and all of that. There's a lot of there's no doubt in my mind that it was by design where they are. And they're also going to be a lot more sacred because
Oh yeah.
if you think about churches like in America, like there's some with great architecture that are super old and probably, have some type of history, but a lot of them are just like, carpeted and like there's like absolutely like nothing like divine feeling about them
Yeah.
in that way, where like when I imagine an Indian temple, I imagine it being a lot more sacred and divine in the way of like the art that is there, that it's so old, like it has been there for so long. And furthermore, just the intention of the people who have gone there in the what I've learned from you about Hinduism just being a way of life rather than this right or wrong duality type
Mm.
of fear-based religion.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Have you heard about Hitler's UFO technology, Die Glocke or something like that?
I have not looked into it, but I believe
Okay.
I've heard of it. Is it
So
like tied to that one girl, like Maria or whatever? Like the girl that he basically
yeah,
made up.
yeah, like
What's her name?
her. It's that girl from the Vril Society. I don't
Yeah,
remember her
yeah.
name, right? So I don't remember her
Maria
name.
Orsic.
Oh yeah,
Maria
yeah,
Orsic.
Maria Osik. Yeah. So if you look up Die Glocke design,
Mm-hmm.
and when you look up the Rukma Vimana design, so these temples have same math or same type of technology they used to flow the UFOs. So we say I have a concrete research too that Die Glocke technology which Hitler used is from Vedic geometry or Vedic math. Vedic Vimana Shastrika. Vimana means UFO, right? So
Okay.
these temples, when I see UFOs, because in our Vedic Vimanika Shastra, which is the UFO like book, like where they have explained how to make a UFO, what kind of metal you should use, what a pilot should possess as a knowledge, what a pilot should wear when he's flying a Vimana or UFO, or like some everything, every detail, every bit, right? So those Vimanas, those UFOs looks like temples, and especially the south temples, because they are in like this shape, and then they have a big block, a square block, a big huge corridor or something, and then
Uh-huh.
they have few holes in down bottom, and which flows upwards, and they give the energy to flow upwards. So let's not get into the technical terms and everything, but yeah, the temples and the Rukma Vimana, RUKMA, Rukma UFO. You can write Rukma UFO. You don't have to write the Vimana. You will see they are similar, look alike the temples. like the temples look the same, the UFOs look the same. And they say that not Hitler, but the Germans were here in India, in Saraswati civilization. That's where they got the swastika symbol, and they used it as a Nazi symbol. So swastika symbol was from the Saraswati civilization. Saraswati is a goddess of wisdom and knowledge. So they got the swastikas, which is also a symbol of wisdom and knowledge and every pure things, and they used it for themselves, and they kidnapped or they abducted some Kashmiri pandits, the Kashmiri saints, and they took them to their bases and everything, and they had every bit of knowledge from them, and they started making UFOs and different technology. And that's how Hitler was introduced by the UFO technology and other Indian technology and the Saraswati civilization, which is swastika, and he used it for his benefits too, for like in the starting. But I don't know what what opinion do you hold with the name of Hitler, and I don't know what do you think about Hitler, but I think I think he was right. That's all I'm gonna say.
I have not watched it yet, but I've heard a lot of people who it's called the greatest story never told or ever. Yeah.
6.5 hour long.
Yeah, it's 6.5 hours, which is why I haven't watched it. But I would like to watch it and do an episode on it one day, which is a completely different opinion of what most people hold of that. But to further comment on your swastika, it's also a symbol. I believe it's the Big Dipper. If you draw the Big Dipper around the North Star in each season, it creates the same shape.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's like anything. They take something harmless and create a negative connotation with it, and that's one of the symbols that they've done that with.
Yeah. That's how I believe, because every symbolisms. I think you talked about the 666 in your one of the posts you posted on Instagram. Why don't you tell us more about that research you did?
Right. So I am in a lot of group chats, and I have some in where people are very religious, and that's fine. I respect all religions. Absolutely. I'm just trying to find, it's about the carbon atom. Okay, when something came up with 666, and I was like, just like anything, just like we were saying. And I was like, they take every single thing and ruin it. 666 is not a bad number. It's actually probably a powerful number, the same way that 888 is, or, any number like that. So it actually represents one of the things it represents is our creation. So we're made up of carbon atoms, and that is made up of 6 electrons, 6 protons, and 6 neutrons. And so that 666 number represents a carbon atom, and that's quite literally what we are created out of. And that's why they take it, because they hate God. They hate anything that he creates. They hate us. And that's why they want to push like this whole transhumanism agenda, because they want to be God. They want to create things as they see fit. So it's a lot more sinister than just like the Bible definition of what 666 is.
Well, what I think is, if we talk about any other religion like Hinduism, if we talk Hinduism as a religion, or like Islam or Judaism or anything, but Christians, I believe, has been most manipulated. Like, look at the Bibles, how many times it has been translated from different people and different perspectives and everything. And Christians have been manipulated for so many things, and now I don't blame if they are like fearful or something like that, because you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, and it's been rewritten so many times, and I've met people who identify as being Christian and not like that at all. They're way more open-minded. They are aware that astrology isn't witchcraft. I mean, there was one, even in the group chat that we're in, this girl, she was like, acupuncture is witchcraft and it's an energy healing tool. And she's like, well, people could use it as witchcraft. And it's like, yeah, if they had negative intentions, just like literally anything. And I think now that I'm thinking about it, another thing about the 666 is your Merkaba, which is also something that they stole, and the Kabbalah. Yeah. So like the Kabbalah, and that's another thing. People were talking about the Kabbalah. I'm like, what? I don't even understand what the Kabbalah is in the Jewish faith, because I don't know that much about Jewish religion. And I was just like, I know the Kabbalah is like the tree of life that also comes from the flower of life, but I don't know what the negative connotation is to it. And then the same thing with the Star of David is actually a Merkaba symbol, which is your multidimensional vehicle that we can't see. So when you're dreaming, you're probably in your Merkaba, in my opinion.
Yeah, so, like the Kabbalah, or we say the Kabbalion, the tree of life, and in the words of Hermes, it is written, and I should encourage people to read it, the Kabbalion book. It's really good. It talks about the duality, polarity, way of life, and everything. It's a really good book. One should learn, and it's not a big one. It's like just a few hundred pages, and it's a good one. Yeah, people should learn, and people should understand that. Whenever we talk about 666, whenever we talk about Kabbalah, or whenever we talk about something which is proved to us is a sinister stuff, please look into those things and find out by your own self that no, like it's just like a gun, no? If it's in the hands of terrorists, it's a bad thing. The bad thing will happen. But if it's in a hand of a really good Christian or really good American, which supports Second Amendment, abide the laws and everything, the gun will never be a problem, right? So yeah, that's the thing. The gun is not satanic or a god-like creature or anything. It's neutral. So think everything as a neutral, and then decide from these various circumstances that is it really bad or the bad people using it. Right.
And that's with everything. Like I just had this amazing, knowledgeable man come on my show, which I interviewed. His name was Wayne McRoy. Yeah. And we talk about secret societies and things like that. I've never heard anyone articulate and be able to connect so many dots with like the occult agenda combined with like the transhumanism aspect of it, even going so far as to saying that, which he has 3 books, which all his sources are listed. And that's what he said. He's like, he had 6 kids, 3 who had autism. So you can only imagine how deep he went into this autism rabbit hole when you have half of, that's a lot to yeah. But anyways, so what he found was that they're essentially perfecting this jab to create a human that is more able to fit into like Elon Musk Neuralink. So apparently what they found is people with autism, as long as they don't have any physical manifestations of it, but it's just in their brain, they can easily more transfer their consciousness into something like a Neuralink. So they're using us as test rats in that way. Oh. And then I had my friend send me a book, or he always sends me pages of books. He's in our Dave Higgs. Oh yeah, Dave. It's called The Keys of Enoch. And I went to try to purchase the book. It was $700 on Amazon. And he has so many books like this that you can't find or can't buy that are just so old, that have so much knowledge that is invaluable. And in this book, he was sending me pages of it. They were talking about the molecular structure of nucleic acid dictates the character of the proteins synthesized. So talking about synthesizing your protein, which is like exactly what they're doing with the COVID. Yes. And he sent me all these pages on biochemistry, and like this book is old. That's what the secret societies are hiding from us, is like the secrets of alchemy and the secrets of the natural world in which we can heal ourselves, in which we can actually be gods and creators. And that's why I said that they quite literally want to play God, and they want to get rid of all of us. And then they want to plug their consciousness into something that cannot be killed, that can be essentially be immortal, get rid of us, but use us in the meantime. And that's essentially what we're watching play out. And that's why I don't give a crap if I offend you by anything that I say, because this is more important for you to wake up to, because we're all at risk in this way. Yeah. So I just went on a little tangent there, but
no, I agree. Like I'm the person who gets most of the comments or like most of the DM that I offend people. And I'm like, no, I don't care. I don't care what people think about me or people think what I know, because hey, whenever I talk about something, that means I have researched about that, or otherwise I will not going to talk about that. I'm not going to post anything about that. But yeah, and yeah, I the book you told me that the Keys of Enoch, right? I have this. I have a PDF of this, but I haven't read it. But I will now read this one, because
yeah.
That's what they do. Yeah,
well, like send me the PDF, because
yeah, sure.
I want it.
Yeah, because it's $700, and if you convert it into Indian rupees, Indian currency, it will be like around thousands. It will be in thousands.
And the fact that they're not reprinting it, is telling.
Yeah, that's what they do with these ancient books and everything, that they overprice them, so no one will buy. Like, what do you think? The normal people are going to buy $700 book, which they haven't heard about it, right?
Yeah.
So they're not going to do that. But that's the psyop. That's the programming, or like what you say, like whatever the word you can put in. They do that intentionally. Yeah. They do that intentionally.
Well, I don't think they print it anymore. I think I think it's about the scarcity of it. That's why it costs so much, because they stopped printing it. They don't want people to have this knowledge. And so whatever is on the market is all that's out there. And there's not going to be any new books being printed out.
That's why I prefer, I don't prefer, but whenever I don't find a book, and in India, it's really tough to find books like these, and it's really expensive if I find one. So I cannot find these books offline. I have to find these books online only, like Amazon or some different apps. So it's really expensive mostly. So I prefer ebooks, PDFs and everything, like we read from ebooks, and I'm good, because unless I'm getting the knowledge, the right amount, the right book, the right exact words, I'm getting it, I'm okay with the PDF, because I know I love physical books. Physical books have some different feelings. But what you can do? I know.
Well, I'm not going to buy a $700 book, but it is he goes to the thrift shops and finds all these crazy like conspiracy books, movies, whatever. He finds crazy stuff, and where he lives is like I forget. It's near Camp David. Okay. And so it's like a lot of like political stuff, and my other friend Kelly does the same thing, and they can change the digital age, and that's what they are going to do to have us like the Mandela effect. Like, is that really a thing, or are they actually changing it to make us feel like we're going crazy and actually switching timelines? I don't know, but that's what they're capable of doing in the digital age, is just being like, oh, just kidding. The dictionary never said that. Oh, the encyclopedia never said the world was flat. Like, so they can just change it at any given moment.
Yeah. Like before we get into some another topic or something, question of the week. Do you think JFK Jr. is alive?
Do I think who?
JFK Jr. is alive.
Oh, because all of that stuff came out.
Yeah, what do you think about it?
No, I mean, so I don't think that's like that far-fetched to believe. So, but then I've also heard people who kind of break down his death as well. So I don't know enough about his death, like from a my own self researching it.
Yeah.
But I also just feel like, I don't know, it could be like people who we think are dead could be alive. And that to me is not that far-fetched.
I believe really big news are coming, like big things are coming our way, and people will be shocked. People will be literally shocked what is coming for them. So yeah, anyways,
Yeah.
anyways, yeah. So let's not.
What do you think? Do you think he is?
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. I'm totally
Okay.
down with it. I know he's coming. I know he's coming, and he will come sooner or later. But before that, before that, Daddy Trump will come.
Yeah.
Trump
Yeah.
Is holding rallies now. And have you listened to that interview, the last interview he did?
With One America Girl?
Yeah, yeah.
I've only heard pieces of it. I talk to people all the time. Like, I just want to know, like, I'm just gauging them because I don't watch any news really.
I don't
but I'm like, do you guys know about the audits? And no one knows anything about them. So it's obvious that they're hiding it and not really talking about it. So
yeah, so
crazy.
What I like about that interview is that Trump is spilling comms because he's talking about 2022. He's not talking about 2024. He's not anywhere talking about he will be contesting again for 2024 elections or anything. He's talking about right now, and he's saying that we already won. We already won.
I heard I heard that part.
Right, and he will be holding rallies soon, and he's talking about 2022, not 2024, which gives me chills, which gives me a green signal that something is about to happen, and this will shock the world. This will shock the world because if this election is, of course, we know it's fraud. We know it's fraud and auditing is happening and everything, we know all about that. But if this election mainstream, the mainstream media will have to cover it because no other choice, right? And when they do it, the whole world will gonna know about this election, this like how they can do the fraud election. And when they will understand that this US election was fraud, 2020 election was fraud, they will sooner or later will gonna understand that 80% of the world's election is fraud.
Right. And then what's happening in Myanmar, which is like completely mirroring it. And I don't know if you have heard anyone kind of murmuring about, how they said like the first arrest will shock the world.
Yeah.
And my friend has a theory that it will be Trump, almost to like neutralize, the people who hate him in a way. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I haven't looked up to these things, but I have heard few people talking about that thing. What do you have? Like, fill me in for few instances.
Well, I think the gist of her theory is that something that have to do with Operation Warp Speed and him taking some type of fall for that. But I thought that he could not be held accountable in that way. So I don't know. She laid it out when I interviewed her, but I don't know. Like I said, it's a spiral. It's like a spiral. So anytime you hear something, sometimes it will just come back and you'll be like, okay, maybe I should re-listen to that or rehear that. I'll hear something else. But it's like, I don't know who else would. I mean, there's so many times where we're like, okay, is it going to be the Pope? Like, who's going to get arrested? It's like, just a theory.
Just an opinion that Pope is dead, I believe.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like so many people are like when the Bill Gates and Melinda Gates divorce thing. I'm like, I mean, what's the point of all this? Because we all know, like, was it just to like watch Bill Gates fall for like the perception of the people who are asleep? Because they were, listening to everything he was saying on CNN, medical advice, like the entire year. And then it comes out, he's actually a piece of shit. So we've been right all along. It's like, how many times do we have to be right for them to stop antagonizing us and condescending us.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But that's what I think. That's why I think these comes like Bill Gates and Divers and even Joe Biden and everyone is like a red pill for not us, because we are already red pill about all these things.
Yeah.
It's for the normies. It's for the zombies around us. So they can understand that they chose wrong people. They chose the wrong authority, and the authority they've been blaming for everything is the right one. And it's quite opposite what they think about them, right? Like Trump and everything. So coming back to the Trump arrest story, we all know that the Operation Warp Speed is something different. It's not related to anything vaccines and everything. I mean, come on, like, why do you need vaccine distribution from why do you need military's help for the vaccines distribution and everything? Yeah. And that's why I think the warp speed is something different. And we all know that warp speed is not about the vaccinations and everything. It's something different. So it can, I don't know, but like this, here it is. It's like this, you are watching this badass movie where the hero is a badass ninja or something like that, and no one can kill him, and even if the plot is that he will be killed, the baddest ninja will be killed, but you still believe that he's the baddest. No one can kill them, right? So that's what I think about the Trump, that he's a badass. No one can arrest him and no one can do any harm to him. Anything which will happen according to him, according to his plan, what he have planned and calculated. So if there's an arrest for Trump, I think it will be a part of plan, right?
If you watch what has happened in Myanmar with the same type of situation that we're watching play out today in America, what happens if and when that first domino falls, that we find out that the election is fraudulent? Will there be a military takeover? And they arrested the president, they arrested all the higher up politicians, and right now I just saw something about them today. I thought I sent it to you. I forget exactly what it was, but they still keep coming up. And it's like, So would we mirror something like what's happening in Myanmar with all of that? It's crazy to think about what comes next.
Exactly. Like you talked about that military will be in control. In my last episode with Red Castle, aka Green Pill Gardner, we talked about a little bit Q and everything. And it's his opinion that he says Trump will not going to be back until 2024, but we will have the auditing results and we will get to know that the election was fraud and Joe Biden will not be the president. The command will fall under the military, and the people think, whenever people think that it will be under military ordinance and everything, people think negative images that, oh my God, it will be like a dictatorship or like like a lockdown or something like that, But no, military will be in control. The life will be back to normal and everything. You'll be doing same old shit you used to do, partying and everything. You can do that too. But until 2024, military will be in control, and then Trump will be, like the new election will happen and Trump will be back. So that's his theory, that he believes that Trump will not be back until 2024. Meanwhile, we'll be under the military rule or something like that. And I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I cannot prove this theory because it's just an opinion. It is a theory.
Right.
He believes it, and I respect him, and I agree that he have some reasons to believe it. Right. So yeah. So let's talk about some few distractions which are happening because first Israeli-Palestine issues, and now I'm hearing, I don't know if it's mainstream or not, but I'm hearing about the UFOs distraction, that they are talking about that we have alien beings and UFOs, and they're distracting normal people from everything. What do you think about that? These distractions?
They're obvious. Like, there's so many distractions. The Bill Gates one was a huge distraction as well. And I've seen, the same way that they were doing into India, like how India was, India is have incinerations in the streets. And like, I've also seen videos of people like looking in Snapchat of like people in Tel Aviv, just, on the beach and not under a state of duress or danger. And so it just makes me question anything that you see. And they could very easily do that all over the world, is just lie about what's actually happening. So yeah, it's like audit. But
Yeah.
the UFOs, that's like a whole nother, like I'm wondering where this narrative is going to go, because that keeps popping up, and it's like, how desperate are they that they're going to finally disclose any, which is like, I also still think that that's going to be kind of a lie, because sometimes I think that UFOs are really just higher technology, and maybe not even an alien at all, just like higher technology that they're hiding from us. And there's actually just humans inside of it. And then my theory on aliens, like, I do think that there's different species, but I think that some of them we can't perceive with our senses that we have. So even if they like were standing in front of us, we wouldn't even be able to perceive them there. And then I think that there's some, that are living among us. Yeah. So I think
I agree.
There's all these different theories about that, but yeah, the UFOs is just such a distraction.
Just a big distraction, and if they're trying to pull that theory again and again and again, people will. No one will gonna bother about that thing. But yeah, like as you said, that UFOs are now only you see as the man-made technology and everything, and I agree with that. But earlier it was like when when all these news was started in the first place, there were like some alien ancient UFOs or something like that. But now, after the Roswell incident or something like that, or maybe before that, because Roswell incident was not the first UFO incident or the first UFO crash. Earlier, there were like 2 UFO crash happened. And I have a document, I have a declassified document of CIA. One agent interviewed the CIA, one reporter interviewed the CIA agent and everything. And she was like an old lady, like around her in her 80s and everything. She used to work for the CIA and everything. She was I don't know, she was doing some kind of a desk job or something. But yeah, so she said that everything now you hear about the UFOs are alien technology, but used by these triple letter agencies. But earlier there were some kind of real alien UFOs, but no aliens were on those UFOs. So as you say, like they are all remote controls. When you open those ships and everything, you will not going to see anyone piloting that thing. And these
right.
remote controls and everything, wirelessly remote control big ships and everything, and they can deassemble them and they can reassemble them anywhere they want and anyhow they want, right? So I believe the main place is Antarctica. That's where they do all kind of, because look into this thing. We are into the world war. If we are into the world war again, but one place is in this whole world will be untouched. The whole and the entire leaders, the global leaders, agreed that whatever happened between them, either they will become friends or enemies, they will not gonna touch that land, that big place, and that is Antarctica. Why? But like, if I have one enemy, I'm gonna destroy his whole land if I want to, right? So why to have a some agreement, some kind of agreement that you will never gonna touch Antarctica, whatever happened, even if we are in the World War or something like that. So yeah,
right. And I talked a little bit about Operation High Jump in one of my episodes, and we scratched the surface of it. And I was like, I need to do a whole episode on this, because I've heard it, but when I was looking into it, they had like all like these remote viewers who were saying they saw all these UFOs and like reptilians and all of this crazy like Star Wars type fighting happening. And Yeah. So,
But I believe it's real. It's real.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not like, I believe everything, but it's like, that's not that far-fetched to me.
No, like how you said that you research everything, but your answers about those research and your findings about those research will be led by your
intuition, right? And you know what I believe is far-fetched? Your government telling you the truth about everything and actually giving a shit about you.
Yeah, that's true. I cannot doubt that. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Hey, so I really wanted to talk about as you're a mom, right? You are a mom, and you have a how old is your kid?
2.
2-year-old kid, and she's cute. I have seen her. I've seen her videos and everything. She's cute. Yeah. So what do you? I really, like it really amazed me because now in my last episode, one of my audio podcast episode, I talked about that it's really good that you have a true like a woke mom, and these kids of these woke mom will be so much more intelligent than these normal kids, and I believe that it's so good for them. It's so good for these kids that their mom and their parents know what to feed them in the name of food, in the name of knowledge, in the name of religion, or in the name of like discipline and everything. So just tell me your experience, like how it changed, like okay, so you in always been red pill before you had a baby, right? So like how do you see different yourself as a mom with different normal moms?
Right. Well, even if you take the red pill out of it, I'm a lot different than other moms because I'm just like very, like, I'm kind of like raising her to be independent. And for myself growing up, I was never really pulled in a certain way, like even with like celebrities, or like I dropped out of high school because I knew it was full of shit. And then I did go to college. So I'm not saying I'm absent of being indoctrinated at all or anything like that. I'm just saying that a lot of the spells that they try to use on people in the way of like celebrities, I think is a huge one. Mainstream media or anything like that, like the feminist movement. I never subscribed to any of them. I never so it's just in that way, I kind of want to teach her to be that same independent, free thinking before I even get into the specifics of it. And I wanted to take her to all different types of churches just so she can almost see like, this is weird because why do they believe this? And why do they believe this? Why do they believe that? And like have this open-minded approach to it. And that's one of the things that I for sure want to do with her when she's old enough. I probably at this point in time, I would like to homeschool her. I work a full-time job, but depending on how the world goes over the next few years, I might look into even starting like my own school, like a small school for like a small amount of people because there's so many more moms out there like me probably that don't have the time or whatever but have the assets to pay someone to homeschool them, where you have more control over what is fed to your child. So that's a thought that I've been having. And just becoming a mother in general, like I spoke a little bit about, my 20s, and I was, promiscuous and doing a lot of drugs and drinking and stuff like that. And being a mother completely changed me in so many ways. It made me, now I do not value any of those things. So it's made me step into my own more. This person that I was always there, but like I said, and you may have heard me say, it's a rite of passage for a woman specifically. I don't know what it's like for a man. I imagine they go through a similar thing, but like on a very physical level, you're creating a human being with your body. And it's not just like a philosophical thing. It's physical changes that you undergo that affect you and make you not always, of course, we all know moms who aren't like that, makes you into a better person because you want to be a better person to raise a better person for the future. So it all is connected in that way.
Yeah, like tell us that, tell everyone that how beautiful it feels being a mother, and fuck abortion. Fuck
Yeah,
abortion.
well, that's another thing that I was talking about recently, because I've always been pro-choice my whole life.
Okay.
And that was a recent thought that I was like, what a bizarre thing that's even a discussion, that we are even debating on how and when it's acceptable to kill a child in your womb.
Exactly.
So when you put it like that, it's and you are aware and knowledgeable on like the mind programming aspect that we talk about in our community.
Yeah.
I really think that's what it comes down to, is it's just another attack on God. It's another attack on creation, God's creations. And obviously there's a business behind it. They make money off of fetuses.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's true. That's true. Like the Planned Parenthood and everything. And like, I don't know if Trump said it or someone else, but he said that every child born or inside the womb is a God's gift, and you don't have the right to kill it. You don't have the right to kill it. Even if you're a parent, you don't have the right to kill it. And that's what I agree with. Yeah. The thing is, parents think that they owe their children because they give them the birth and they are teaching them, they are nurturing them. But I think if I will have a kid one day, that kid will never gonna owe me anything. I owe it everything, my life, because I created that being, and now it's my duty. It's my duty, not out of love. It can be out of love, yes, of course, right? It's love, right? But yeah, it's my duty, and I cannot run away from my duty. And that's what I say to everyone, that these liberals, these pro-choice, and every other people, like who believes that they can have the abortion and my life, my body, my life, or something like that. You will see these guys coming out in streets for their rights, screaming for their rights and everything, like being a liberal, painting their faces, and like this skinny head assholes and everyone going out on streets and fighting for their rights and everything. What about their duties? What about your fucking duties? No one want to do their work. They just want to have everything, even from government, even from other people, even from the society. They want to have everything, and they don't want to perform anything. And that it cannot happen. It's a give and take. The universe is based on the give and take thing. You have to give something to nature to have something from nature. That's what I believe. Yeah. Right? Even if it's time, even if it's understanding, but you have to give the understanding, you have to give the time and everything in order to understand the language of nature and everything, right? So I believe that, and it's a give and take situation, and I believe we should more focus on our duties too. Yeah, we should focus on our rights. We are fighting for our rights. The whole community is fighting for our rights, but we the people are focusing on our duties too, and that's what I believe we should do. Everyone should do.
Yeah. And from the more philosophical point of view, and I'm not sure if Hinduism has the same, attachment as suffering. Do they say that like Buddhism?
Suffering in what sense?
So like anything that you were attached to can create suffering, because when you lose it, it will create suffering.
Yeah. That's
so
true.
Yeah. So it's like, we talked about that a little bit this week with, people in our community saying stupid ass stuff about, kids or whatever. And it's like, in that aspect, it's a really hard thing to not be attached to in that way of your consciousness, because you are infinite consciousness, and anything in this physical world is temporary, and it creates suffering by being attached to your dog, to your child. Like, and thinking about losing my daughter, thinking about losing even my mom, like I could just cry thinking about at any given time. And I've been reading the Death and the Art of Dying, which is a Tibetan book. And it talks a lot about that. Like, and I'm like, how do you break this though? Because it's just, because if you think about it, it's so easy to talk about things like philosophical, not connecting it to your life, like saying, okay, well, attachment is suffering and your consciousness is infinite. So like, you're going to be with each other in another life. And it's like, yeah, it's easy to say that. But when you love something with every fiber of your being, it's really hard to put it in that perspective. So
yeah, I agree with that. But the other perspective, I believe, even if it's physical, I haven't felt it. I haven't felt that attachment, suffering, and like being apart from my mother, being apart from my brother, father, anyone. But what I believe is that suffering is also a part of nature. Even like if you find, so look into this thing, like you love your parents, you love your child, and you love everyone, and you feel attached to them, and it's all right, and you should do it before like if you're not attached to them, you will not gonna feel love. And that's what I say, that apart from motherly love, what mothers have for their children, no human is capable of loving anyone. No human, only God can love. And okay, so look into this thing. I know no most of them will not agree with this thing, but but yeah, okay. So I have a girlfriend or I have a wife. I love her so much. I am doing anything to make her happy so I can be happy. I'm loving her so I can be loved. So in the end, I want myself to be loved. That's why I'm loving anyone. That's why I'm loving everyone. So that's what I see, and that's what I think, and that's what conclude my theory with the illusion, the Maya, the sixth element of the world, that it's me everywhere. It's me and me only everywhere in this universe. Like I see myself in you, I see myself in any other plants, any other animals, I see myself in everything. And that's how I will start loving. So that means I'm loving myself and I'm loving that person too in the same manner, right? So it's really tricky to understand. I hope I make sense.
That makes sense to me. It reminds me of this book. I forget what it's called, and I don't know enough about the author. You know how like Gandhi or like some people who were said to be good are actually like fucked up people. So
do you think Gandhi is a good person?
No.
Yeah. Thank God.
That's what I'm saying is like, so you'll hear like some guru and then they end up being like a really fucked up person. So what I'm saying is this person, I don't know if he's like that. So, but this book that I read, it's called Love, Freedom, and Aloneness by Osho.
Osho, yeah. OSHO?
Yeah.
Osho, yeah.
Yeah.
Osho
so I don't know if he's a bad person.
No, I think he's not a bad person, but I haven't read any of his
stuff. This book, it's called Love, Freedom, and Aloneness.
I've heard about that book, yeah.
It's about how love ebbs and flows and how you need freedom and aloneness to appreciate being with somebody. It's like these two sides of the coin. It's the yin, it's the yang. Yeah. So it all goes together. And you need the pain to appreciate the love. You need that suffering to appreciate the good times. And this is the human experience. Essentially,
that's true. So, like if you not have a I will not say fear, but an understanding of pain from that affection you have. If I have a child and I will protect him, or I will protect it from anything from outside world. I will protect it from like physical world. I will protect it from the spiritual world and the mental world, subconscious world, and everything. And that's make it more beautiful, that you have this sense and you have realized that you can lose that person, and now you will do anything to protect them.
Right.
So it's
But,
that's what I think.
and
Yeah.
it also talks about how important it is to love yourself because, and this is so cliche, but it's so true.
No, yeah.
Like you cannot truly love. Everything that you project on other people is all a direct reflection of how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to be alone with yourself and love yourself and hang out with yourself and be happy in order to give anyone, not just in a romantic relationship, but literally anyone love. Yeah. And I think another one thing that I don't like about some people who consider themselves to be like super spiritual or whatever is they look at like things like being called out, like, that's not a negative thing necessarily. Like if you're calling someone out, even if it's your friend, like if they're doing something wrong and you're telling them like, hey, that's wrong, you're being a good friend to them. So people are afraid to like speak out against what's wrong in the world. And that's actually coming from a place of love, a place of strength to make the collective and everything better. So that's just my opinion.
No,
and I've been really working on loving myself, and I don't know. I just feel like creating something, not just my daughter, but even like this podcast and being able to connect with people who you feel at home with is it's just like life-changing.
Yeah, that's true. Like I agree with that theory of self-love, and that's I'm gonna connect it with my happiness. So I've been bullied in my school. I've been ignored in my school life from people. I've been bullied, and I have experienced so many different stressful, depressive things in my life.
Right.
I was never depressed. I am proud of this fact that I have been never depressed in my life, never stressed out for anything, and never tensed for anything. So like I have the sense of happiness all the time, and I feel, and this thing stressed me out, that I don't feel stress, and this stressed me out, that why I don't feel stress, why I don't feel tensed or something like that. And I'm okay with that fact, that because I know, because my mom also says that to me, that you only love yourself. You don't love your parents, or you don't love anything around. You just love yourself. And I agree with it. I agree with that fact a little bit, because I have been loving myself from like starting. And when I understand the meaning of love, and I'm loving myself from the time being I'm born. And that's why I don't feel the absence around me. I can live alone, and I'm living alone for like 2.5 years, and I don't feel alone. I don't feel alone.
Right.
If you like, I just love the alone time. I just love.
I do too.
I can talk to myself. I can give myself a guilt trip about anything I did wrong, and I will appreciate myself, and I will do everything with myself. Right. So yeah.
That's such a good lesson that your mom taught you so early on. For real, like that's like these are the things that what they're focusing on teaching our children these days is bizarre. And one of the other things that they don't teach anymore is like ancient mythology. And like, I remember I was gifted in 6th grade, and they taught me all about Greek mythology. And why does only the gifted people learn that? Like, that's kind of weird, right? Because it's they're trying to take away everything that has to do with like putting the pieces together, and they give you all of these lies and scientific facts that can be funded or pushed in a certain way. When the things that really matter is like, fucking love yourself.
No, I agree with that.
And the rest will come.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, so I think we are into the end segment here. And before we end anything, I want 2 things from you. A concluding statement from you. Like, what do you think, how we are forwarding as a community, and what do you think about the collective consciousness, and how should we grow each other together, like in this thing, and we are in this together, like where we go one, where we go all, right? So,
Right.
and the second thing is, I have this kind of a ritual for my guests, that if they can suggest one book which they want the viewers to just read it because it's really good, like just one book suggestion. Yeah. So yeah, over to you. The floor is yours.
Okay. Well, first of all, I just want to thank you for
I'm
having
glad
me
you
on
are
your
here.
show. Yeah, I'm happy that we're friends now, and this was fun. So thank you for having me on. And I always say the same type of message every time, and I'm not going to change it because this is what I believe is the absolute truth, especially when you consider the mathematics of it. And this is math is the language of God. So it's as simple as that. And we are vibrations, we are frequencies. That is what our entire universe is made up of. And the thoughts create reality. Your consciousness is stronger than you know. So this is why there is an attack on our consciousness. This is why we have to permeate and create love in every way that you go, so that you lift the collective, so that we are pushing towards this time. Like we are literally like head to head in this timeline of good versus evil. And that's why people like us need to keep pushing a positive narrative, because we are in control of what essentially happens. So the more doomers there are, they're quite literally on the opposite team in this spiritual war. So I always just like to give hope for humanity. I don't see it ending in a nefarious way. I'll die trying if that's what it takes. So just keep your head up, keep positive, and have like a buddy system whenever you're in dooming. Have someone to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, be realistic, because sitting on the sidelines isn't going to do anything. Fighting the little battles is important. Speaking out when it's uncomfortable to bring awareness in not just as a keyboard warrior, but in your everyday life. Make people feel uncomfortable for complying, because they are just as much of the problem as the people who, are complacent. Like the complacency and the compliance are the same sin to me. So I will call everyone out as much as I can. And that's why I'm here. And but for the book, I read the 4 Agreements every year. It's basically, it's a really short read. It talks about just being impeccable with your word, not to take anything personally. So anytime someone says something, you don't know what they're going through, and it's essentially a projection. Say what you mean what you say. Don't make assumptions, because that can cause strife and arguments and misunderstandings. And then the last one is always do your best. And it's a really short book. It changes your perspective on how you see any situations. And I just recommend everyone to read it at least once. I read it annually. So
No, all right. So, yeah, I agree with your message. I totally stand with your message 100%. And yeah, I'm going to link that book down my description too. And yeah,
okay.
I will add that book into my wish list too. And yeah, like before we end, thank you, Lala Beamz, for for being in this show, the Conscious Mantras. And I really appreciate what you are doing. I really enjoyed talking to you about all these mathematics stuff and all these philosophical stuffs. And I really enjoy your shit posting on Instagram. So keep doing it.
Thank you. Yes. So anyone, if you don't follow me already, follow me on Instagram. It's Lala Beamz. I'm sure you'll link it down below. Yeah, I also have a YouTube channel, but yeah, it's my podcast episodes, but I also, it's like 90% shit posting. So if you like memes and all that, you probably should follow me. So
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So Lala Beamz, you can find her on Instagram at @Lala Beamz, and you can find her podcast Instagram too, with double Z in the end, so that you can have all the list of her episodes, what episode, what she talked about in what episode, right? So yeah, you can find her on Instagram at Lala Beamz. I will link down her YouTube channel. I will link down her Spotify, because I listen to Spotify. So I will link down her Spotify podcast link. And yeah, so before we end up, there's a small announcement for the viewers. That is that we, the Kangs, have started the NoFap movement, where where we are upbearing people of the Kundalini stuff, the shadow working, the how they can enlighten their chakras, and how they can enlighten their they can send their root chakra energy to upwards to the crown chakra by semen retention. And you can follow us on at the rate NoFapKangs, and you can follow us on at the rate Kangs Live, where we're gonna come live in few days. Soon we're gonna start our live sessions where we're gonna explain about the NoFap things. We're gonna explain about so many different things. So yeah, anyone wants to join us, anyone wants to join the NoFap movement, just message me or any other Kangs. Or if you are a woman, if you're a lady and you are not comfortable talking about all these things with the Kangs, you can talk about these things to queens, which we have, like Red Pill Babe. Yeah, Quanks. Like Red Pill Babe, you can talk to her. She's really amazing. She's really down to earth. And yeah, you can reach her out anytime, and she'll help you. And yeah, so that's
I think that for women, you know, I'm just learning a lot of this stuff from you, but for women, I think it more is about like, don't mix your energy with someone who doesn't, like one night stands or any promiscuity without someone who doesn't like care about you in a more meaningful way. You're literally mixing your energy with that person.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Kangs don't touch their wangs.
Even quanks. Yeah, so that's what I mean. You know, like the women have so many health benefits if they don't masturbate. Really, really, so many health benefits for the skin, for their hair, for their internal bodies and everything. And really, it's, come on, who want to be a slut maker and who want to be a slut? No one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Only the depressive state of mind.
Yeah. Our society makes you think it's normalized. Yeah. They're normalizing being promiscuous. They're normalizing murdering babies. They're normalizing transgenderism, transhumanism. Everything that is being pushed in our society as normal is for a reason to keep you in a fear-controlled state. That's really what it comes down to.
Absolutely. That being said, I will link down every link which we have talked about in the whole episode. We'll go link down everything. You can reach out to Lala Beamz. You can reach out to me or any of the Kangs or anything you want. And yeah, so that's it. And this is Rex. Thank you, Lala Beamz, for coming in for Conscious Mantras. And I really loved the episode. I'm sure I'm excited for the audiences too. And yeah, this is Rex from Conscious Mantra signing off.